So, dear children, thank you for joining us for the first part of this morning. It's very nice to see you here. And you will have a chance to ask a few questions. And we're very lucky to have our senior brother and our senior sister on the Q&A panel. Thank you for being here. And they have a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom to answer your questions. So maybe you want to ask some question about something at school or at home in your family. Maybe some emotion that you have sometime. We often get asked why we are bald or we wear brown. But maybe if you have some question like that, you can also save it and ask the brothers in the program later. So if you have a question, you can come up and sit on the chair here. And we will listen to one sound of the bell, breathe together, and then you can ask your question. And we have translation here into French, so you can wear that. And then if you speak Spanish or Italian, then maybe you can bring either your headset or bring a translator along with you when you come up for your question. So dear children, please, if you're ready, you can come up. One person can come up and sit on the chair to ask your question. Yeah, you can come up. We will listen to one sound of the bell and breathe together.
Donc, je me demandais pourquoi le village des pruniers s'appelle comme ça. Ah oui, et je m'appelle Oscar.
So my name is Oscar, and I was wondering why the Plum Village, why was the Plum Village name was Plum Village? Why is it called like that?
So the question is, why is Plum Village called Plum Village?
Good morning, dear Sangha. I think that you have very good observation because in Upper Hamlet you don't have any plum trees, right? And why we call Plum Village? So Plum Village we have 4 hamlets: Upper Hamlet, Shanghai, Lower Hamlet, and New Hamlet, which you went the day before yesterday. So right now only Lower Hamlet and New Hamlet we have some plum trees. In the past, when we have Lower Hamlet, we have a big piece of land. And originally we planted some persimmon trees. But later on, Thầy thought of doing some, planting some plum trees because this soil, this area in southern of France, it's very good to plant plum trees. And so we can cultivate the fruits, and then we can have some money to send to support the hungry children in Asia, particularly in Vietnam. And so that's how we plant more than 1,000 plum trees. And that's how we name it Plum Village. Yes? Did you try the plum yet? Very sweet. Thank you for your question.
So maybe we can have the next question from the children. Come here. Vous pouvez aller ici. On va écouter le son de la cloche et respirer ensemble.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Ozane. Je me demande pourquoi au village des pruniers on mange vegan.
Good morning, my name is Ozan, and I was wondering why in Plum Village we eat vegan.
So the question is, why in Plum Village do we eat vegan? So I think it is to nourish our heart of compassion. All beings, animals, they also want to live. So we want to have love towards all beings and protect their lives. That is why we are vegetarian, firstly. And in terms of vegan also, now the way that, the way that cows are treated or the way that eggs are made are often not very compassionate towards the animal. Sometimes they are treated quite cruelly, and also a lot of land is lost due to the grazing for the animals. So maybe you've also heard that now there's a lot of climate change and difficulties with the environment. So being vegan is also a way to help protect and take care of the environment. But now more and more people are becoming vegan, so we can still really enjoy good food, and we have many options to eat good vegan food. And at the same time, we can nourish a heart of love and of compassion. Thank you.
As we know, there's so many hungry children in the world. And so if we are vegetarian, we have enough food for everybody, especially children, to have food to eat. Yeah?
Je m'appelle Clémence et ma question c'est pourquoi il y a de la nature dans le village des pruniers. Il y en a beaucoup.
So my name is Clémence, and my question is why there is so much nature in Plum Village. There is so much.
So the question is, why is there so much nature in Plum Village?
Because we don't have AC. As you see in Upper Hamlet, Lower Hamlet, and New Hamlet, we don't have AC. So we relied on nature. Air condition. Yeah. So we relied on nature. And also, as you see, especially summertime when it is very, very hot, and we have a lot of trees around us, it really, really provides us shade, breeze, and fruits also. So a lot of things about nature that we can learn from and take refuge in nature also. So for example, when I'm not feeling good, I feel really upsetting about something, it's so wonderful that I have a piece of land with a lot of trees that I can walk until I can feel normal, feel okay, and then I come back. So it's really, really wonderful that we can have nature around us. Yeah?
Do you love nature? Dear friend, do you love nature?
Oui.
Oui. Merci.
So this is the last question for the children.
Je m'appelle Léo. Et pourquoi doit sonner la cloche?
So my name is Leo, and why did you invite the bell? Or why do we invite the bell?
So Leo was asking, why do we invite the bell here in Plum Village?
respected Thai dear community. Dear Leo, how do you feel when you listen to the sound of the bell?
Calme.
Calm.
Yeah, you got it. That's why we invite the bell to enjoy calmness. And do you like to listen to the church bell as well? How do you feel when you listen to the church bell?
Calme aussi. Je suis calme aussi.
Calm aussi. Ah, exactement. So when you go home and you listen to the church bell, you feel calm and you enjoy breathing in, breathing out. Okay? Everyone okay? Yeah? Thank you.
So thank you so much, dear children, for asking your questions this morning. So maybe now the children can stand up and offer a bow to the Sangha and then go out and continue the activities with the children's program. So dear Thai Dear community, now we will have question and answers for the adults, and the young adults are also encouraged to ask questions. So we may ask a question about our practice, about our happiness, our suffering, some difficulty that we may have in our heart. And please do not ask intellectual questions, like questions about Buddhism and a lot of theory, but something really practical from our life, from our experience. And we know that a good question can help many people. There may be others who have the same question. So please don't feel shy and come up and ask your question. We also know that a good question doesn't need to be too long. So we can make our question concise. And if your question is something you kind of hesitate to ask in public, you can also write it down. And from time to time, we may answer a written question. So, if you ask your question in French, Spanish, or Italian, maybe you can bring someone who can translate the question for you. And again, we have the headphones here for French translation. But for Spanish and Italian, please bring your own headphones. So if you have a question, you're invited to please come up and sit here. And like before, we will listen to one sound of the bell, and then you may ask your question. So please, if you are ready, we can come up for a question. And if you like, we can also come up closer here for the next question, so we can sit around in front here if you have a question. So let us breathe and listen to the sound of the bell together.
Morning, everyone. My name is Nelly, and my question was: as a Christian, I'm wondering why this practice is such a welcoming practice. Why it's such? Why it's so open and so inviting to even if I'm not part of the community.
So the question is, our friend is a Christian. So she's asking, why is the practice so open and so inviting and welcoming?
Dear respected Thai dear community, dear friend, what is your name? Neil. Why are you asking this question?
I'm asking this question because it's on. Okay. I'm asking this question because, like I said, I'm Christian, and where I come from, I'm South African originally, even though I've been living in France for many years, and I haven't seen a community like for instance Christianity or Islam that's so opening and welcoming to others that are not of the community. So that's why my question. That's why I'm asking this question.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your background and I sense appreciation for this practice and the community, international community, coming together and practicing, supporting each other. And the question is, why is this practice so open, inviting, and inclusive, and so on? We can look from different perspectives. One perspective is on that because this practice is so human, so universal. It starts from within us. The capacity of being present, being open, loving, understanding, and to recognize we are one human family. Yeah, and that need to connect, to unite, to live in harmony is so real. Learning from the history of human beings, conflicts, struggle for power, releases. How do I say it? I try to be careful. Yeah, as you mentioned, release community in South Africa. So that suffering of wars, conflict, and so on, give Thai in in his insight that we need to heal ourselves together as human, and also to touch the common foundation as human beings. In the sense that
Can you give us a hand? Huh? Why are you turning on this mic? No, no, this one is...
we are not different as we think. Yeah. Another perspective is to cope, to deal, and to embrace and to overcome the current situation as human family, as Mother Earth, politically, economically, religiously, climate change, and so on. We need an international community to take refuge and to offer support to our family, society, and to have a collective awakening of understanding and love in order to make a change. One person is not enough. One religion is not enough. Yeah. So building community is one of the essential aspects of Plum Village practice. And community, we can be very diverse. Yeah. So diversity is also very wonderful, like a forest. Yeah. So to conclude, why is this practice so open, inviting, and inclusive? Because it starts within us. It goes beyond idea of separation. Secondly, learning from the history of war, conflicts, and so on, and the need to unite, to heal. That's why we have this practice, and it's universal. And last but not least, we need an international community for ourselves and for each other, and also for the children. A place they feel comfortable, they feel at home, they feel okay. I have trust, I have faith in this life, so they can develop and they can heal further, they can build further. Maybe my sister and my brother can add more. It's good enough. Thank you for your question.
Dear Thai, dear family, thank you very much for everything. My name is Marta. I come from Mexico. And I want to thank very, very much Buddhism that I've been the opportunity since 2013 to have to be in sanghas and lessons in Buddhism in Mexico, but only in Mexico. And most of the sangha in Mexico is Tibetan Buddhism. So, sorry for my ignorance. Is it the same Tibetan Buddhism that here, the branch or school, you say? So that my mind is not so much confused. Thank you.
So, dear Thai, dear Sangha, our friend is from Mexico, and in Mexico she's had the chance to practice mainly in Tibetan Buddhism, because that's what's present mainly in Mexico. So her question is, like the Plum Village tradition and practice, is that quite similar to Tibetan Buddhism, or is it very different?
So, dear Sangha, I think in the upper Hamlet or new Hamlet, in the toilet, we see the faucet. It may look the same, yeah? But the faucet in the toilet, in upper Hamlet and in new Hamlet or in lower Hamlet, they are not the same, yeah? But when we turn it on, it's all coming out the same, water. So pretty much the same with the different tradition of Buddhist practice. The essence is the same because of the cultural aspect, the language aspect. So it have different colors and different forms, but it in essence it's pretty much the same. Actually, in Mexico, there's a few sangha practicing Plum Village tradition. We have 2 Dharma teachers, lay Dharma teachers, just receiving the lamp, and they are building sangha and practicing for more than 20 years in Mexico. It is just that, but dominantly is the Tibetan tradition, right? That's what you say. But it's all about meditation, mindfulness. Is that right? Visualization, yeah.
What was the question?
No, I'm just saying that this is different tradition, but practicing mindfulness, meditation, maybe in Tibetan tradition, maybe visualization, more on visualization. But it's pretty much the same. It's about cultivating compassion, non-self, acceptance. Basically, it's the same in essence. Yeah, I hope I answer your question.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything to add?
Shall I go?
If the brothers have anything to add.
Yeah, dear respected Thai, dear community, dear friend, thank you, Sister Thon Ngim, to mention about the evolution of Buddhism and the image of the water coming out of the tap. Yeah, that is the essence of Buddhism, water. And based on, like we see there, the logo of Plum Village, Smrti, Samadhi, Prajna, mindfulness, concentration inside. Yeah. what I really appreciate here in Plum Village is, can you hear well? Yeah. Or what I really appreciate here in Plum Village is Thai renewal of Buddhism, making Buddhism available for everyone and also applicable in daily life. When we turn on the water tap, we turn it on and seeing this water is me. I am this water. And be grateful from the water flowing from the mountains, from the earth, from everywhere. So that daily practice is so wonderful. And that I really appreciate the Plum Village practice. And once we can taste the joy, the happiness, and the liberation from the practice, then we can include other branches of Buddhism. We can make use Tibetan Buddhism, Laos Buddhism, Theravada, and so on, because Buddhism has it's like a tree with many branches. And here, what I really appreciate is Thai go deep back to the source of Buddhism, touching the essence of Buddhism, and make it available for everyone. And I'll go also inclusive all the religions as well. Yeah, you see that? And that is my appreciation for Thai's Plum Village practice. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Lilith, and my question is about individualism and non-self versus non-self. In the Western culture, individualism is very strong mental model, and there is a strong narrative that individualism equals progress. So it's very difficult to let go of that. And I have seen many narratives that if we let go of the self, then we will not achieve what is good for the humanity in terms of what progress brings. So how to reconcile that? And particularly I'm asking because I want to find ways of inviting people who think that way, that progress is not always the goal, but it's so strong that people even think that if you let go of self and individualism, then it's a very selfish act, because you don't do something for the humanity. You can't achieve progress that is good for the humanity. And on the contrary, practicing non-self and just focusing on your enlightenment is a selfish act. So there is a lot of narratives like that I would like to contemplate about, and I would want your wisdom on how to also respond to that, to people who kind of bring those very strong narratives of, self, non-self, what is good for humanity. Thank you.
So thank you for your question. So to summarize, I think you've been sharing that in the West, there's a strong emphasis on individualism, which is also tied to ideas of progress. And if we act with the insight of non-self, some people believe that that's not conducive to progress because we will not achieve. Kind of what is our view on that, and also how to respond to people who hold the view that individualism is very important to achieve and for progress. Is that accurate? So I think we can also reflect on society now, and I think loneliness is one of the modern kind of epidemic in society, and I think there are a lot of kind of broken families. A lot of parents have separated. It's quite rare for different generations to live together. Grandparents often don't live with their children and grandchildren. In some societies they say it takes a village to bring up a child. So maybe at Plum Village you see maybe also the parents feel very safe and the children are looked after together. And so I think this is something we can reflect on. What kind of support system is there for the family? Sometimes it's a single parent with an only child, and it's quite difficult for them. And I think on the other hand, we can learn a lot from also from nature. So from the wisdom of the forest. If there's a tree standing on its own, it'll be quite difficult for the tree to withstand a big storm, for example. So in the forest, what the trees do is their roots, they intertwine, and there's an underground network, and all of the trees are nourishing each other and taking care of each other. also see that in different communities, there's a kind of intelligence. I think even when the birds migrate, we can see that sometimes there's a bird that's leading, but after a while, when the bird gets tired, then they can step back and someone else can come to take its place. So I think that with cooperation, there can also be a lot of progress. So sometimes we organize things in a competitive way, but we can also organize them in a cooperative way. And like there are countries that have tried this also. Like in Bhutan, for example, they have the GNH project, and we went there, the Gross National Happiness, and they try to do this, to even have education be based more on a cooperative model. I'm also reminded of a saying that if you want to go fast, we can go alone. But if you want to go far, we should go together. And I think especially now, in these times, that we have so many challenges. Like climate change is such a big challenge for us. It's one of the great challenges of our time. Or, we have so much conflict. So it is only by coming together that we can take care of some of these challenges. There is no way we can do it alone. And our teacher really emphasized the practice of community building. So this is something very important in Plum Village, is Sangha building. And he always shared something is, if we have some dream, something we want to realize, we need to do it together. And his vision is that of having a collective awakening. So I think people who hold the view that we need to be individualistic and maybe kind of selfish for progress, we can kind of re-examine the view that we have and see, like, is it really true? And what is the need for our time right now? I don't know if
dear community, dear friend, so in your question, there's the idea of self, and there's a thinking to practice is to become non-self, and there are people thinking practicing like that, become non-self, is so selfish. That's what I understood from your question.
The narratives that, is it working? Okay. The narratives that I hear often is that, in fact, focusing on yourself, doing meditation, kind of disengaging from world, is more selfish than suffering but achieving something for the humanity.
So coming back, meditation, practicing for yourself is so selfish.
Because you don't do anything.
Because you don't do anything for the world. That's your question. Thank you for your clarification. So the question is that correct? Is that so?
But I don't know how to respond to them.
Yeah, you don't know how to respond to that, how to reconcile.
What to say to them, because we suffer, but we do something for progress, for the humanity. We are in the motion, action, to achieve something that will eventually to be a break in for invention, for something for the good of humanity, even if we suffer. So that's more selfless than focusing, meditating, and, achieving your enlightenment.
Yeah, thank you. So there is an idea of meditation. It's like going home, be peaceful, avoiding suffering. That's the idea. Yeah, and don't care for the world. Is that so? No, that is not so. So, your question is, how do you, respond to that? By your living, by your daily living, to get engaged. For example, when you smile to yourself and you realize that this smile is for everyone, for your beloved ones, for the people surrounding you, those people receive it. And you don't have to explain, to respond, because that energy of smiling is radiating, is going out. In a difficult moment, strong emotions, and you know how to embrace your strong emotion or strong emotion from your beloved one, you apply the practice of mindful breathing and be there for the strong emotion and take care of it, then that effect is a response. Does a flower have to explain to anyone that the flower, for example, this orchid, does this orchid have to prove, to show that I'm here for the world? Does the flower have to do that? Or the flower has to be as a flower? Does the river have to prove, I'm here for you humans, I'm here for you? Does the river have to do it every day? No. So live your life. And be there. And especially in difficult moments, your quality of being is really a response. And people, wow, they feel inspired. The Buddha started by himself, just one person, 2,600 years ago. And see, international, so many people And Thai, in his conditions, many challenges, Thai just have been doing what he need to do. Yeah. And luckily we have this practice as engaged Buddhism. Yeah. It's not the Buddhism of going home, take care just for yourself, going up to the mountain, bye-bye this world. So this engaged practice speaks for itself. You don't have to advocate, to do PR work. In Vietnamese, we have a sentence: the fragrance is naturally radiating out, and people can enjoy the flower, the same, the river, everything. So be yourself, be beautiful. Yeah, you don't have to prove anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Dear brothers and sisters, have a bit of emotion. I have two questions. The first one is, I have been coming here a few years, but I find, maybe especially this year, or maybe I don't remember from the other years, but I find when I try to meditate and sit down, I find that I have so much self-judgment coming up, and I try to work with it in my meditation, but I find it creates a lot of discomfort. And so I was just wondering if you had any tips for how I can embrace those difficult emotions or feelings, or it's mostly thoughts actually that come up. And the other question I have is, I work in the media, and for me it was always important that I feel that I get to be a part of trying to defend more social justice and going places and, you know, telling what's happening. But at the same time, I find it creates a lot of suffering for me to be in touch with social injustice or the consequence of inaction for climate change. And so, I mean, I do practice, but I still feel like, it does nourish also my suffering. So I was wondering how I can try to find more balance, because lately I've been thinking, should I just try to only work on positive things? But at the same time, I mean, I don't know if it's serving a good purpose. Sometimes I wonder.
So just to repeat the question, our friend has two questions. The first one is, in her practice, while meditating, a lot of self-judgment comes up, and she finds that quite difficult. So if there's some suggestion how to work with that self-judgment. Is that correct, the first one? And the second question is, our friend also works in the media. So she has the aspiration to help with social injustice or also with climate change. But getting in touch with those things kind of also makes her suffer. And like how to find more balance in that. And she's wondering if she should just be in touch with the more positive things. Is that right for the questions?
Dear Sangha, do you do the daily practice, some forms of daily practice? Yes, you do. Thầy, our teacher, taught us in meditation, the first maybe 5-10 minutes, just to check with our body, scan our body, see what parts of our body that are very tense or very painful, that we're not relaxed enough, or we're not paying attention enough, so that we can soothe that part of our body. Then we will practice recognizing conditions that make us happy. So we have to focus on the elements that make us happy. Because if we sit and we jump right away into the negative aspect, or even we don't want to, but it keeps coming up, then we can shift to the favorable conditions or the good conditions. Recognize all of these elements is joy and happiness. So when we have enough of these joy and happiness and stability, we are able to encounter the self-judgment, self-criticism. So usually for us, when we are very new, we are not encouraged to do that, but we focus on calming the body, looking into elements of joy and happiness. Then our teacher recommended us to write our own Heart Sutra. You know, in Buddhist, we have Heart Sutra, we chant every day, but he required us to write our own Heart Sutra, which is our life story. Because we are constitute not only just of our 5 skandhas, but also of our family background, our ancestors, our parents. For many years, I did not accept my father. And I struggle a lot of seeing him as something outside of me. And so in my meditation, I struggle a lot. I'm not able to accept him. But then when Thầy advised us to write our own Heart Sutra, and I wrote my own Heart Sutra, and I went back as far as I can to my father's life as a young person, and the conditions, the societal conditions for him to become the person who he is. And it sheds a lot of light on who he is. That in a normal meditation, in my thinking, I did not think about these things. But when I write, there's a lot of things that I'm very ignorant of my father. And so it helps me a lot to recognize that he did not have the conditions that I have. And so when I practice like that, I'm able to practice for him also and totally accept him as who he is. And so it's less of not accepting him, but more on the side of accepting myself, because of his background, and that's how I grew up in these conditions, this environment. And so I cultivate that self-compassion, self-acceptance first. And then as I wrote about my father, I accepted him a lot more. And now I can say that I totally accepted him as who he is, even though he had no interest in Buddhism or meditation or mindfulness whatsoever. But I accept him. So perhaps you might, because you are a writer, so writing about other people, events, bad news, but maybe you can begin with yourself, writing about your own life, your own background, your family. It will shed a lot of light on the way you perceive things, the way you self-criticize yourself. There's many conditions and many elements that you really need to look, really examine and look really deeply and see why you have this kind of self-criticism and judgment. And particularly in Upper Hamlet, the brothers, they organize quite many theme weeks for different group of people, like artists, scientists, activists. So maybe think of journalists. Actually, this is Thay's idea for a long time, that to have a retreat for journalists or media people, so that you can have that kind of network of support, and so that you can continue with the profession that you are doing. Because going alone is very, very overwhelming, because the amount of information we receive every day is overwhelming. And and so to have that network of support, it is really, really important. And so we can also go in the direction of writing more positive news or stories. Personally, for me, I only choose a very few news sources that to read. Like BBC is one. I think mainly I only read BBC. Few articles. When I choose these articles, because they really see that they really broadcast from different perspectives of the news and of the stories. And so intentionally I choose what to read. And so I think when we have this kind of intention to write or to broadcast, it really have this people who want to read these news. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Thuong Nghiêm, sharing. And I see you are touched, moved by, feel inspired by her sharing. And I hope you can take it and you mentioned about your purpose in life. Yeah. purpose in life. And from Thai, from Plum Village, I learned that one of the aspects of my purpose in life is to be happy. It's so crucial. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. It's so right on. Usually we think we need to do something, to achieve something, to transform something. Then we feel satisfied and happy. If then when can we be happy? When can we feel peaceful? If we are conditioned by if then never. Never. That I'm learning from my experience. And I see around, maybe Thai is right to say that there is no way to peace. Peace is the way. It's so strong. It's so strong. So that is one crucial aspect of my purpose in life. I can be happy now. Now, with my step, with my breath. And the second aspect is to make use of my happiness, of my peace, to take care for my suffering. If I don't have my peace, my happiness, how can I take care for my suffering? How can we take care for the massive injustice in the world? If I don't have peace in me, if I don't have compassion in me, if I don't have injustice, if I don't have inclusive in me, inclusiveness, because the one we feel is causing injustice to the others, that person, that group, that nation is going through a lot of suffering as well. You see it? So by seeing it, we cultivate compassion for that person, for that group, for that nation as well. And then from that compassion and inclusiveness, we can take care for both the victims of injustice and the one who is causing injustice. And then we can change the situation. If we still fight against injustice in a violent way, in a discriminative way, in a we and them way, we may create more suffering and conflict in the world. Though we feel I have the right to do it because it's so injustice. But that is, for me, that is not a long-lasting and peaceful and sustainable way. That is my perspective. I don't know, impose my view on you, but I share from my perspective. And I learn from here, as I say, to be inclusive. That may heal and transform the situation. So, 2 aspects in my purpose of life: to be happy. So crucial, so fundamental. And start with myself. And using that happiness, peace, and so on, to take care for my suffering and suffering in the world. And as the sister and brother say, community. We need the community, friends. Yeah. Thank you for your listening.
Good morning, dear community. It's so beautiful to see all your eyes, and I can feel my heart beating quite fast. So thank you so much for, first, to you. My name is Elise, I'm from France. My husband is from Canada, and we have 2 children who have become Swiss. This is my 4th time at Plum. My first time, I was really broken. The second time, you planted some seeds, and the third time, it started growing like a tree. And today it's my 4th time, and I can really feel the tree growing and the flowers transforming into fruits. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for hosting this community, and I'm sure it's so much work for you, so thank you for holding the space for us. And more importantly, I guess we are all from the earth, and so happy to be here with all of you today on this beautiful planet. I have 3 questions because you are 3 people, so I have 1 question for just 1. Okay. I'll try to summarize then. So, my question is that how do you take care of the patterns or the bad habits that keep coming back? And I have a very concrete example. I could see in my wash bag this morning all these little ants coming into the wash bag, and I guess they are attracted by the smell and the perfume and the sweetness. And every morning I remove them, and every day they come back. And I try to look at them with kindness because they are part of biodiversity, and I don't want to kill these ants, but I also see them as my own craving in a way, you know, these patterns or habits that keep coming back. And you try to take care of these habits of craving for sugar or making my life very busy with work, and some patterns that come from my parents. So I try to take care of all these little ants, and they keep coming back. So, and I can see your garden here as well is so beautiful, but maybe sometimes you have weeds. And if you don't remove them, they take all the space for the beautiful flowers. So how do you take care of these habits? And linked to that, something that came up very recently is with my brother Nicolas, and I love him so much. I've been in the climate space for 20 years, so I've been also in the climate retreat here. And as you know, the world is becoming so polarized on every topic, on Palestine and Israel, on climate. And my dear brother that I love so much, who is a scientist, has become a climate skeptic. And so it's very, very difficult for us to hold the space for love and not having these bad habits of judging or going into a conflict, even at Christmas dinner. So we sometimes decided to avoid some of these topics, like Palestine or climate. But for me, it's been my life for 20 years. I've been giving my professional life to this cause for the earth. And so I'm just asking you for advice of how I can preserve the love for my brother and at the same time being true to what I believe is science and to what I believe is one of the major challenges for humanity. So dealing also with this polarization, I'm sure it's in many families. Our families are reflecting the world like a mirror. So how do you deal with polarities in your family with love and kindness? Thank you so much.
We understand the question well. It's so broad.
Yeah. So thank you for your questions. So as I understand, you have two questions. So the first question is about habits, and the question is, like how to transform our habits, and especially our maybe our unwholesome habits. I think that's the first question, the summary of that. You gave some examples, but that's the gist of it. And I think the second question is about having polarized views, for example, in families, and how to deal with that. So is that right? Those are the two questions. Okay, so let's start with one question and then let's see how it goes with time also. And if you don't have enough time, you would request that the second question can also be brought to your Dharma sharing family, or can be answered outside the Q&A also. So how to transform unwholesome habits? I think there are a few things that can help us. The first thing is the mindfulness trainings. So I think all of us have unwholesome habits, including myself. And kind of practicing and training with the mindfulness trainings really helps us with our habits. They are kind of support. And that's why also each mindfulness training starts with the line, aware of the suffering caused by. I think the second thing about habits is the environment is very important, So in a certain environment, some habits get triggered very easily. But if it's a different environment that's very supportive, those habits don't get triggered. So to look at what kind of environment we create. So for example, at Plum Village, we might find that some of our unwholesome habits don't come up so easily. And I think there are many of our habits that we are not even aware of. We all have our blind spots. So firstly, with the practice of mindfulness, and also with the help of our friends, we first learn to recognize our habits. I think when we practice and see these patterns, how they repeat and how they cause suffering to ourselves and also to our loved ones, it can give determination for us to change these habits. So mindfulness really gives us a choice. Like in our brain, we have these neural pathways. So when something happens, or when someone says something or does something, like automatically, very quickly, we do something or we say something. But mindfulness can intervene. So when there's a condition present or someone says something, instead of reacting or doing something right away, we can be aware, I want to behave like this, I want to say like this. And we can be aware of that, and then we have a choice to go in a different direction. So we can breathe, we can practice mindfulness, and act differently. So every time there is a stimulus, we can try and replace what we do with something else. So for example, if we have a habit, we feel anxiety, or maybe we feel lonely, we go reach for something sweet to eat. Maybe that's a habit that we have. So instead of we recognize we're feeling anxious or feeling lonely, we recognize, okay, I want to reach and eat something, we can do something else. I think we can also be patient with ourselves, and have compassion for ourselves in this process of transforming some of our habits. So it's about like selective watering, also like which seeds do we water in ourselves. So our practice is really the practice of selective watering. We try to water the good seeds, the wholesome seeds in us to come up, and then when they are present, we invite them to stay longer. And then also when we see some unwholesome seed has come up in our mind consciousness, we are aware of it, and we invite it to gently go back to our store consciousness. So that's also a practice of right diligence, which is part of the Eightfold Path, like we learned in the Dharma talk.
Dear community, dear friend, we know that it's now 11:15 and we should stop in order to enjoy our walking at 11:30. Thank you for Brother Botted sharing about your first question. I would like to use maybe 5 minutes to share about your second question about polarity in the family and also in the world now. There's, just 5 minutes. Here in our Plum Village community, there is also not strong polarity, but some view about climate change as well. And I encounter a situation like that. So one of my brother shared that according to his study, climate change is not caused by humans, it's a natural process. And he's so firm, so sure about his view. And he said, even, in Plum Village, 5 contemplations, I think the 4th contemplations about eating and not contributing to climate change and to reverse the climate situation. He said, maybe we should change that. 4 contemplations. Okay. And even in other situations, that is his view. And maybe me, or most of us think, no, climate change is caused by human beings. It's so clear. So there's some conflict here in views. And I try to look into my brother. This is my brother. And I care for him. Besides, I care about climate. I care for him as my brother. And I see there was a bell. Last sound only. So maybe 2 more minutes or 3 more minutes, and then we can enjoy walking. I care for my brother, and especially he's monastic. I want him to be happy, and I see maybe he's right in his study, in his view, but I feel there is some fear in him, facing the reality of climate change, whether caused by humans or by nature. There is fear in him, also in me, in everyone. It's so clear. So I have compassion for his seed of fear, not capable of facing the situation. And another feeling I have is maybe a sense of not taking responsibility, a sense of afraid of feeling guilty as human. That could be also another reason. And another aspect is a collective group resistance that he got involved in. So he's a victim of that group. So my practice is now, it's not about climate, it's not about views, it's about loving my brother. caring for my brother, and also even viewing. Okay, you are right. Right in the sense, yeah, I understand you. And I don't go arguing. I don't go in that direction, but embracing him. But I have my view as well, and I go on with my practice, but I include him in my compassion. So I hope it may help you. Thank you so much. 5 minutes precise. Thank you for our patience.
So, dear community, this is the end of our session for this morning. So thank you so much for being present. And also thank you to our panelists, Thai Phap Ung, and especially Sister Thuan Nim for coming from New Hamlet to support the Q&A this morning. And if we still have some unanswered questions, maybe we have a chance in our Dharma sharing family to ask that question during our Dharma sharing or during the dinner in families. So let us end by listening to 3 sounds of the bell, breathing together.